Oh, ho ho there. Today's video is going to be my tournament report from the Not to Kill Team Christmas Clash 3. My second Christmas Clash, but the third one that they've run. And it was yesterday, which was the 14th of December. So I'm recording it the day later, 15th of December. Let's get right to it. So, just to give you a quick event overview, this was a one-day kill team event. 4 rounds. Now, where I'm particularly pleased, and I think that Jason has done really well to organise this, the maps were 1/3 Beta Decima, 1/3 Volcus, and 1/3 Gallowdark. In other words, they were using only the maps in the Approved Ops map pack, published by Games Workshop. And this is particularly cool because I remember talking to Jason back at the Turning Point Tactics event, the sort of last big event of the previous edition, and one of the things he said to me was he thought it would really struggle to run events that were just on the new terrain sets because he didn't think his community would buy enough sets of terrain and get them built and painted up and sorted out. So the fact that he's been able to do that, the fact that it was all on the official map packs was great. Now, I'm not saying that because I think that it's not necessarily the case that I think that people shouldn't be playing on, say, Arcturius, right? But it's more the fact that as one of the first tournaments of the new edition, you don't want to be the guy, like, suddenly going, well, these are the map layouts that I've come up with, right? Like, I think it's really good to start everyone off, everyone's on the same page, everyone's playing the official maps that they've had a lot of time to the potential to play on, right, and practice. Everyone's at that same standard, right? Now, it was 4 rounds, and it was 1 hour 45 for rounds, and we started at 8:30. Now, I totally understand why they've done this. I'm going to have a little tiny bit of a moan. Like, I felt that it was pretty tight. I think 2 hours is about ideal for a game of Kill Team, but more than that, I want about a 15-minute break. Am I just an old man? I want a break between rounds. Like, it got to the point where, so you had round 1, round 2, with no scheduled break between them, and then lunch, which was half an hour, and then round 3, round 4, again with no scheduled break between them. And my round 1 game, like, we finished it perfectly, like, fully to the end of turn 4, but we finished, like, we weren't the last game to finish, but we were pretty close to being on the whistle when we finished. And then it's like, get that pack, get the stuff packed up, get your score entered, and then before you know what's going on, pairings are up for round 2, and I really did miss that ability to, like, go to the bathroom, grab a coffee, catch up with the social thing of just going, like, to my friends who I travel with. Well, I didn't have to travel with any friends this time, but the friends of people I know go, how's your game going? Now, it's really challenging because I am not ignorant of the math that says 4 rounds is best because 3-round events don't really, like the Swiss doesn't properly have time to filter in. You end up with too many undefeated players. People who are there to win feel it very unsatisfying playing a 3-round event. And I also understand, especially this time of year, not necessarily because people need to go to Christmas parties, because, like, people can prioritise what they want to do with that, but more just it's pitch black. And, I was home about 9:30. I wouldn't really have wanted to get home much later, especially given I had to drive the whole way in the dark. It's difficult. Total tangent, I passed 2 big smashes on the A roads, like full police, fire, ambulance, one going up and one going down. Thank God, not involving me, right? I was just caught up in bits of traffic and backlog and stuff. But, like, driving at winter when it's pitch black at 6 o'clock and people aren't used to it yet because it's the start of winter, like, just drive careful out there, especially if you're traveling for Christmas. Just drive carefully, guys. Okay. So I didn't want the game. I didn't want the day to be longer. I personally would have done 3 rounds. Now, look, the catchphrase for the event was more candy cane, less sweat lord. This was not billed as a serious event. The Christmas Clash is like the least serious tournament the Not to Kill team guys run. There's no golden ticket on the line. You know, the prize for being the most sporting player was this big impressive trophy, and the prize for actually winning was this tiny little trophy. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think it should have probably been 3 rounds with more chances for breaks and socializing. I would have enjoyed that more. But somebody was explaining to me at one point, and I found it a little bit tedious because I really don't care about. I don't even really have a totally clear idea in my mind of what ITC is. ITC seems absurd. I'm not very good at Kill Team, but I go to lots of events. Someone pointed out to me that for last season, I had a better ITC ranking than various people who are at Worlds, just because, you get points for showing up and playing games, and I show up and play a lot of games. So apparently there's a thing where if you're more... Somebody that knows about this stuff could probably clarify in the comments. There's a thing where if you're more than 4 rounds, you can get more ITC points, and maybe that helps them get more people in because people care about that stuff. So I don't know. I just felt it was a little bit... It wasn't awful, right? And it didn't spoil it, and I had a really good time, and I'm just front-loading the only little negative bit of feedback that I have because everything else is going to be great. But I just felt it was a bit too pacey for my liking, right? As someone called me the other day on a stream, the King of Dadhammer. So, a little bit too pacey for my liking. Can we not just 2-hour rounds, 15-minute break between rounds, 45 minutes for lunch? That would be my kind of ideal, right? Maybe that's just me. Aside from the timings issue, right, it was business as usual for a Christmas event. So, the vibe was still really casual. There was a funny hat competition. Little bit salty about that, right? Because Jason told me it was a costume competition. Last year was a full-on Christmas costume competition. Was looking forward to seeing Jason again in his Christmas tree outfit, and I was denied. I ordered a Santa. I was there in the full Santa regalia with beard. Beard came off quite a lot, but and it had been checked. I didn't know it was only funny hats, but having ordered the costume, I was going to wear it. Props to friend of the channel, Matt Goddington, who was again in his full Scrooge outfit from the Muppets Christmas Carol, which is it's certainly in the top 3 adaptations of A Christmas Carol. Maybe I prefer the Patrick Stewart version, because I'm boring, I don't know. Like I said, the most impressive prize, this massive Space Marine 3D printed sculpture with a Robin Hood hat on top, was the prize just for the most sporting. When I saw it, I thought it was going to be the prize for best overall, which is usually where, they take your game score and your hobby score and your most sporting score and combine it to get best overall. No, it was straight at the prize for most sporting player. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and it really communicated what the event was supposed to be around. I would have been happy with 3 rounds. I totally understand the constituency of people that wanted it to be 4 rounds desperately, because a lot of people don't feel like it's a real tournament unless it's 4 rounds. I think the answer to this, honestly, is what Games Workshop do. If you want to play a tournament like that and have it feel like a real challenge, run a 6-round tournament over 2 days. I mean, that's maybe a bit much for an independent tournament, but then it's 2 days of 3 games. That feels more ideal to me. But maybe I'm just old and tired, right? Let's move on. So what about Sanctuary Gaming Centre in? Is it in Mansfield? Is it in Sutton in Ashfield? I don't know. I need to consult a map. It appears to occupy 2 places geographically, depending on what map you consult. But there you go. It's a gaming store, which is mostly a playing space. Right, and I've talked around them before. They're a really nice venue. They have cakes, donuts, artisanal donuts of different flavors and varieties, and soft drinks on sale. So at the moment, I'm actually on a diet. So I was on the water, so I didn't have not a very strict diet because I had a cooked breakfast in the morning. But hey, I'll talk about Witherspoons in a minute. Really nice venue though, and there's soft drink and food. And then I always give people the warning because the first time I go to a new gaming store, part of me is like, oh, I've got various things I want to pick up soon. If I'm visiting a store, I might think like, oh, I was going to buy this Kill Team box anyway. I'll buy it when I visit this store because then you put some money behind the till of somewhere where you're visiting. I think that's a nice thing to do. But like, don't plan to buy anything at Sanctuary because they just have very little stock like on the shelves. As far as I can work out, their business model is primarily like charging people for play space. They weirdly had a lot of Star Wars Shatterpoint, which I went and stared at because Shatterpoint's really cool. Didn't have anything on sale, I don't think, for Kill Team. They got like the Army Painter paint range, and they've got like the Games Workshop paints as well, but the rack was pretty depleted. So like, really lovely place, really lovely staff, really nice donuts, really nice drinks. But don't go assuming that you're going to pick up something that would be in stock at Games Workshop because they just don't seem to hold a lot of stock on the premises. What else? Parking. So there's a big car park at the back, which I didn't park in because it's actually pointed out to me that there's a disabled parking bay. There's room for about 4 cars over the road, and because I was getting there at 8 o'clock in the morning, I can always get a space in that bay over the way. I think technically it's there for the granddads that want to go to Spoons and sit at the bar drinking their pint of mild for 4 or 5 hours. But like, I was able to get my car there. Jason's very good and was like, because I've moaned before that the car park actually at Sanctuary, it's not got disabled parking, which I think all venues should have, at least one, right? But he was like, oh, but I'll sort something out, I'll code something off, I'll do something. Great guy, and I would have done all this stuff, but once it was pointed out to me after that first one that there's a disabled parking just right over the road, I'm fine with that, that's fine for me. Toilets, again, once it was pointed out that there was an accessible toilet on the ground floor, happy days. Okay, very clean, very nice, very accessible. Able-bodied people have to go up to the first floor to use the bathrooms. But like, that's fine because presumably if you can't manage the stairs, there's a toilet right there. It's not like you needed a special. It's not one of these where you need to have applied, get a key and all this stuff. It's just like, I'd rather use the ground floor toilet. There you go, off you go. Anything else to say out the venue? Not really. You can't bring your own food, so this is a slightly weird one. I think it's fine because you pay £25 and Jason orders in pizza, and then he's negotiated with the venue that we're allowed to eat that pizza inside the venue, right? So I had 3 pieces of pizza, different, like with Papa John's, I think. It was pretty good. I was talking to one guy who just prefers to bring a packed lunch, and he had to stand outside, or I don't know if anyone told him to, but he felt he had to stand outside and eat sandwiches in the cold, which, I've got friends that have really complicated dietary requirements as well, and it's like, if they're going to allow, I understand their business model. They don't want you to bring in loads of food from outside, but if they're going to allow food from outside for the tournament, then maybe let fella eat his sandwiches in peace. I don't know. Next door to Witherspoons. So the tournament starts at 8:30. The Witherspoons opens at 8. So you got half an hour to get your breakfast. So I had eggs Benedict with black pudding. It was amazing, actually. I mean, I don't need to review Witherspoons, but like, I'm always kind of blown away because you go into a Spoons thinking it's going to be like the McDonald's of pubs, and it's going to be like passable, right? But it was really, really good. It was like cheap as. So yeah, always, and not everybody that went to the event was in there for breakfast at 8 o'clock, but I always recommend it. There was a fair few of us. I should talk about Kill Team instead of putting food in my mouth, but hey. So round 1, I was against a chap called Luke Williams. Luke was playing Hearthkin Salvages. Now Luke's Hearthkin Salvages, he actually won the painting competition because they're all converted to be Gretchen in the suits as well. It was pretty cool. I lost 16-18, so I lost by 2, which I think I was pretty happy with. Yeah. I ran Reconnaissance Tack Up, I think it's called, where you have to be in their territory on a conceal and then just have a valid target and be like, I spot him. So I managed to max that, which was good, thanks to my little Psychic Familiars, right? I'm playing Brood Brothers, by the way. I don't think I've said that. I'm playing Brood Brothers into his Harkin Salvagers. Luke was playing Plan Beacon, which, as far as I can tell, is just free money. But he only got 5. Like, I don't know. Is there counterplay to Plan Beacon, or is it just your opponent does things? Basically, I think I killed enough of his guys that he only got to plant 5 beacons because he ran out of AP that he wasn't needing to use for other stuff. But I don't think there's any specific, like, counterplay to Plant Beacon. It was a very bloody game. So I was... Can I, like, be really advanced here? And if I press this button... Yeah. So laser pointer's back. This is good. So... Why are there 2... There we go. Anyway, so I was over here. Oh, there's 2 laser pointers. Why has it done that? Come on, Phil, you're not very good at your job. No, there's still 2 laser... I'm going to go for a pen, because that's going to be better. A pen. Right. So I was on this side. Yeah, that's showing up nicely. So I was on this side. Up here, I basically had a ladder and a plasma gunner on engage. It was like the first 2 turns, sort of camping there on engage, kind of keeping everybody with their heads down, right? You know how it is. And then I had my my Magus up here, right? There's where Magus is going to be for basically the whole game. And then I have my comms up here, because I've really been struggling to get use out of the comms, because I try to... I end up not having line of sight, so I've been starting to try and run the comms onto vantage points. And then I had some other stuff. These were the key pieces. I had my melter gun behind this door. I think I had like the explosives guy was in here as well, and as was the banner. And the big thing that happened is, obviously, it was a very bloody game. But he had the jump pad guy, which he dashed up to here. And, like, I know what half-kid salvagers can do, but I can't say that I've played against them a lot. And so he was able to fly in, and with all his various stacking buffs from markers, like, he did a pretty good job at killing. He killed about 3 guys, got up here, killed another guy, eventually managed to kill him. Like, my Magus survived, like it was, but it was pretty bloody. Meanwhile, you know... I'm doing stuff to him just as hard as he's doing stuff to me. My explosives guy gets to come out here because there were other like guys sort of scuttling around here. I managed to get a shot off, not blast, sadly. Right, he's piling a lot of guys up on here, which I'm largely ignoring. And then because I'm killing others, right, he's forced to bring these guys down and get them involved. Okay, I really didn't like. I had some part of my team that were trying to accomplish things over on this flank, but that flank just collapsed. Like this was comprehensively his, and at the same time, like this was pretty well comprehensively mine. He just ended up scoring the middle, like 1 point more than me, essentially. Like that was all it was. He was 1 point ahead on the crit op, and he got 2 points ahead on the kill op. It was a good game, a good close game. I don't think anybody made any obvious mistakes. I think he had some bad dice. Actually, I'll go as far as that. I think he was probably the better player. And I think there were a couple of occasions where I thought, oh, I'm really screwed now. And then he rolled the dice and it was like, oh, it's fine. And I think I rolled some jammy saves as well, to be fair. So I actually think probably deserved a more bigger a win than he got. I think I'll have the humility to say that. I think I had some really favourable dice rolls, but like I've really come to the conclusion with Brood Brothers. You just take the Magus. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. You just take the Magus every single time, because the fact that she turns off piercing, right, really good. Turns off being injured, really good. And then on top of that, she's got this mortal wounds generate like. You could just, if somebody comes up to you, like at one point, his jump out guy was up here, right? And within 4 of my Magus goes, cool, well, here's 4 wounds. And then on a 2-up, because you'd already taken one of his APL, you take the other 4 wounds and you just die. And you're not getting to roll or do or think or say anything. Like, I really feel that the Magus is if you're going to play Brood Brothers, take the Magus. I can't... People say, the Primus, like, because they really want the CP. I was drowning in CP. I don't think Brood Brothers ploys are that good, right? And people like the Magus because they like the idea of... re-rolling the initiative, but I don't know. I just felt that the Magus was much better than the Primus has ever been for me. So I had a really good time. It was a really good game, really close. Yeah. And Luke, by the way, I think was my opponent of my vote for most sporting. Like, he's a great lad. His team was lovely. I don't know if most sporting is supposed to, like, for me, if I'm playing into a beautiful team, like, that's going to tip you towards getting your most sporting vote. I don't know if that's technically what you're supposed to do. It's not like you're given a scoring rubric. Did your opponent shake your hand? Did your opponent have a... but just my general impression when he's a top bloke. So, it was good banter as well. Yeah, enjoyed it. On to round 2. So round 2 is playing a guy called Paul Cooks, who was the guy that told me the story about having to eat his sandwich outside, which really stuck with me. I think that's a shame, Paul. I think you should have been allowed to eat your sandwich in the warm. He wasn't that annoyed about it, by the way. I'm annoyed on his behalf more than anything else. Paul was playing Corsair Voidsguard, and I lost 11-19. It was a bit of a drubbing. Now, a lot of things about this, like, Paul was a lovely chap, and it was a fun game, and he didn't do anything wrong, as it were. But basically, this was my first game on Beta Decima in this edition, so I wasn't totally sure what I was doing. I took light barricades, so I put a light barricade here, and I put a light barricade up here. And then I took ladders, and I put a ladder here, and I put, like, a ladder here. Okay. And then I took some faction equipment, and then I took the equipment ploy, and I took some smoke as well. And basically, I ended up with my sniper and my plasma gun kind of camping up here. My Magus up here, and everyone else was trying to advance up these 2 sides, and I sort of moved them up and quite carefully put down smoke grenades, but then they never last. I put down the smoke grenades in turning point 1. They never last, so I could advance up, because the Voidsguard are a very shooty team, and he had a heavy barricade out here, and he had a light barricade going on here. I forget where his second light barricade was. I think it may have been, like, here. But Corsairs are a very shooty team, and Brood Brothers are less, like, they're not shooty, but they're, like, less shooty. So I popped the smoke in turn up at 1 to keep them safe as I moved everybody up, and then the smoke starts to fade. I just couldn't push up at him enough, and he had very little incentive to cut. Like, he sprinted somebody down early doors to tap, like, put a pointer, because this is the other one. Input coordinates is really weird. So you put 1 APL, 1 objective marker is the active operative controls gains 1 of your objective points. Use dice as a token to keep track of objective points on the objective marker. An operative cannot perform the action, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the 4th turning point, for each objective marker that has at least 1 of your objective points on, you score 1 VP or 2 VP if your objective marker is wholly within your opponent's trajectory. And for every objective marker that has more of your points on than your opponent's, you score 1 VP. So, non-interactively, there are 4 of the 6 VP that you can just grab, right? Like, he YOLO'd one of his guys up to this objective to put a point on it, who I then killed with Armagos quite handily, right? But he had those 2 points, and I couldn't take the thing. There's no way to remove coordinate things. So he had those 2 points. This one, he had the, what's it called? Shade Runner, right? He got his shade, this is the big tall tower up here. He got his Shade Runner up on this big tall tower, and I couldn't even work out how I was supposed to get up there. Like, I guess climb on here, and then, like, jump, and then, like, jump again, or something, but having not been really familiar with Beta Decima, I didn't want to ask my opponent, like, how can I actually, like, if I'm playing against Paul, I would have just, like, stopped the game for a second and been like, Paul, how do I actually get onto this damn tower? Because it's not connected by anything to anything else. Like, what's happening here is right. But he has Shade Runner teleported up there, so he had 1 point on this, and then his Shade Runner, really, really, really key piece for the whole game, really, because his Shade Runner just sat here and consistently scored him the reconnaissance tack up again. We were both running reconnaissance, whereas I kind of only got half marks on reconnaissance a lot of time because I would reconnoitre someone and then that person would inevitably get shot because they'd come out of being safe, reconnaissance, and then they'd get shot by just the horde of horrible guns that the Void Scarred had in the whole deployment zone area. And the fact they had 3 APL and could often like sidestep out, take a shot, and then run back in, and things like that. So, yeah, I didn't have a good plan for this, you know, because he managed to get he got his 1 point on there, he got his point on there, and he got a point on there, right? So straight off the bat, that's 2, 3, 4, right? And then he had more points than me on this one, so that was 5. And I'm pretty sure he ended up with more points than me on probably this one as well. He either got 5 or 6 on the primary. And I just didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan for, for the primary in the same way because I'd not played this primary before. I had not played this game mode before, so I was trying to invent strategy on the fly, whereas Paul was able to, Paul Cooks, that is to say, I'm not talking about Zimbad now, was able to sort of implement strategies he already had in his mind, I think, right? He already had an idea of where he wanted his equipment on Beta Decima, what was going to go on with that, and he already had an idea of what was going on with Mission 9 coordinates. So, yeah, I learned a lot, but definitely need to play more games on Beta Decima. Now, I've had a look. I'm going to the Warhammer World tournament. The pack doesn't tell me what maps they're going to be using, like if they're going to be using Beta Decima or not. So I don't know how important it is for me to get practice games in on Beta Decima for that tournament. But like, definitely need to play more games on that to have more of a fighting chance, I think. But it was cool to try it and see what it's like. And I think it is better because of the universal equipment. I think you just need to have a strategy for what you're going to do. And I need to understand, and maybe someone in the comments can help me, like, how do you actually get on here? Right, I need to have a better understanding of all this stuff. Because this thing's really tall as well. Like, I don't know. On to round 3. So round 3 was playing a guy called Linford Man. Now, Linford is from the Norwich Kill Team scene, or group, club, shop. I don't know what it is, but he's from Norwich Kill Team anyway. And he was playing Far Stalker Kimband. Now, this was also my first Into the Dark game of the new edition. Obviously, I played Into the Dark in the previous edition. Now, we played Reroute Power, Power Surge, which again, I wasn't very familiar with, because me and Zimbad are playing through them in order, and we'd only played 5 games, so we've played the first 5 crit ops, basically, prior to this, right? So, Power Surge, the player who, in Turning Point 2, the player who doesn't have initiative chooses the objective that's going to be the special one, right? And then, if you perform an action on the special one, you get a VP. If you hold the special one, you get a VP. And if you hold more than your opponent, you get a VP, but you're capped at 2 VP, right? So, it was basically like, in round 2, he made this the special one. He got 2 VP. I got 1 VP, right? And then in the next round, I made this the special one, and I got 2 VP, and he managed to hold this one. He got 1 VP, and then in the third round, I think this had to be the special one, right? And I think I scored 2 VP, and he maybe didn't get 1 VP that round, but he was ahead on other things. Like, I think he was ahead on the kill-up, right? Because he basically killed me to a man. It was a very bloody game. It was a very fun game. he was doing stuff with plant beacons, which again I think is just free money. Yeah. Like, I don't really understand how I alter what I do to make it more difficult for my opponent to plant beacons, other than like in the first round where my opponent didn't max it just because he had enough other stuff that I was forcing him to do in my APL. But I don't think you actually can do very much about plant beacons. I don't know how I feel about Power Surge as a mission. I feel like it's going to tend you towards a draw. Playing Into the Dark was fine. I liked having this bigger room here where we had some light barricades. I had a light barricade there. I had a light barricade there. I had a light barricade over here. He had some razor wire here and a light barricade, which we were playing with the FAQ so that you could walk around the razor wire, but you couldn't get straight onto the objective from the doorway, so the razor wire was still useful. We basically, like, I just held on to this room here, like, and he basically just held on to this room here, and then a big fight happened in this room here. And there was some weird fighting that went on in this corridor as well. But it was a really fun game. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know about that mission. Mission 8 seems very, you're going to draw. But Linford was a great guy. Really lovely guy. Really chill. And it's great to see what Crew could or couldn't do. So that was fun. I enjoyed it. And then my last game was against Elliot, so back onto Volcus, and this time I've played Extraction. So me and Zimban must have played 6 games now. I played Extraction. I knew what Extraction was all about. I was on the map, and he was playing Euclidean Star Striders. Now I won this one 15-9. So I went for the secure ground tack up because the stronghold doesn't have to be wholly within your opponent's territory. It just has to be within your opponent's territory. So when you get a stronghold like this, if you're a team that can do secure ground, like, you probably want to go for secure ground because it's much easier, right? So I basically I played a very risky strategy. So over on this side, I had my melter gun, because I love putting a melter gun in on this kind of map and putting him here behind this door to react. So whatever's going to come to this, right, then a melter gun is going to run out and go, haha, I'm a melter gun, right? And I sent up one of my little psychic familiars up to there. And yeah, I think I had a third model that was knocking around here, but I can't remember what they did. It wasn't anything really of consequence. And the rest of my team was here, like, stacked 2 rows thick, right? So, I sent the other psychic familiar to here, right? And then basically all these guys started to assemble up here, right? Now he was more sensibly split, like half and half. So it was kind of the classic refused flank. He basically didn't have enough committed to this side of the table to stand up to what I was going to do over on this side, right? So he did have a guy up here with a lasgun for sighting in his... I don't know why I keep drawing those lines. Please ignore them. For sighting in his... off-board support. Now, there was one point where I thought I'd really screwed up, because I had about 2/3 of my team stood here, right? And I really thought, oh no, this guy's going to call in one of the support assets with Blast, and I'm going to be absolutely boned, right? But I think Elliot was really tired. Now, to be totally fair to the guy, you know, and we were chatting a little bit, and he had some stuff going on with his life that I'm going to get into on the internet, but like, he was pretty tired, not playing, and he said he's not been playing his best. And I was just sitting there like going, and I really almost said to him like, oh, have you got any blast weapons actually, because I've really screwed up. And then he would have done it, and I would have lost the game. And I just sort of sat there and didn't say anything, you know, but because he was monomaniacally focused on the 2 orbital weapons with piercing, right? Which obviously, because my Magus is there turning off piercing, it wasn't the best. You know, he got quite focused on killing the Magus to get the piercing and then fire the piercing weapons. Like, that was his one strategy. And if he'd used one, because I think there's one with Torrent and there's one with Blast 2, And if he'd used one of those on this huge clump of guys, I think he would have won the game. But forgive me for not putting my hand up and saying, actually, if you do this thing that I happen to know your team can do, then I'll be really sad. Because I only remembered that he could do that after I'd sort of finished assembling all my guys here. But as it went, I was able to really take over half this building and wipe out, like, there was Euclidia Vane was here, he had the dog, the engines here, killed all of those, right, took over this half, left the guy standing up here because I couldn't get to him, and then basically just ran and hid my guys underneath the vantage points. They couldn't be seen by this guy. Now my plan was sneak this guy around here, tap that, use the guy in the middle to tap that, and make this the valuable one for extraction that hangs around the whole game. I messed that up because I needed to send more. Like, he had quite a few guys on here, and I didn't have the opening to just run in with my Psychic Familiar and tap it like I had hoped to. So he ended up getting the big scoring turn on extraction, where he was able to tap. He was able to tap this one before I killed him, right, for one. And so I could have tapped this one for two, right? And I had the opportunity to do that, and I didn't take it. Because I didn't want to hand him this one up the top here as the one that was worth a lot. And as happened, because I didn't use my Psychic Familiar to just tap this one, because I couldn't see him getting this one at the same time, he then was able to send his assassin in, tap this one, right? And so he scored the big turn where he got 1.3 points. He got 4 points in one turning point, right? 4 points or 5 points, because he also picked up the last marker. It was 4 points he was on, or 5 points he was on. And I mean, he lost his assassin for his trouble because the Melter Gunner jumped out and went, haha, I'm a Melter Gun, right? But the thing is that he was totally dominating on the primary, and he got his 6th point. And I had nothing on the primary. I ended with 1 on the primary because I was able to, basically I wiped everything out, and I was able to move my guys over and kill the guys that he had on the roof of this building, like right at the end of the game, by using my ploy to ignore the first 2 inches, and then climbing up the really long wall with a melter gun and just going bam, right? Because normally you can't scale these really tall ruin walls, but because Gene Brew Brothers have the thing of ignoring the first 2 circle of a climb, so you just went woo, like Spider-Man. So that worked well, but for all he dominated on the primary, I dominated this stronghold, so I was able to score my tack-up all the way through. I don't know what his tack-up was, and I didn't remember to ask at the end of the game. He didn't score any points in his tack-up and never revealed it. I'm suspicious that he also had secure ground, and he was trying to do the same thing, and because I massively overcommitted to the left flank, he couldn't hold it with what he had allocated to that side. So I maxed tack up. He maxed tack up. He got nothing on tack up. He got 6 on the primary. I got 1 on the primary. And then the rest was from the kill. We both killed quite a lot of each other's models. But the big thing is, I haven't talked at all about your primary objective. You know, that cool hidden primary objective where it's supposed to be this weird card flip thing at the end, like, oh, what will they have taken? And everybody always takes tack up, and it's utterly pointless as a mechanic. And everybody's got it into their heads to always take tack up. So, of course, we'd always both taken tack up, but he hadn't scored anything on his tack up, so it was 3 points to me, 0 points to him. So, nice to get my first win of the game. He was a great guy, and it was a good, fun game, but he did make the obvious error with the orbital bombardments. I feel bad about that, because he was very tired. He had some other stuff going on. Maybe I should have put my hand up and said, look, if you do this, it'll be really bad for me. I think that would have been the more gentlemanly thing to do. But, obviously it's not an expectation for you to tell your opponent what to do. But sometimes I do. and then I just got a bit like, actually, if he does that, I'm totally screwed. So I'm just going to sit here and not give it up. But yeah, but it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. It was nice to get a win, first win of the edition. So yeah, I honestly enjoyed all my games. So let's look at the final placings. So the winner of the whole tournament was actually Welsh John Reese. Can you roll a crit? Right, who brought Legionary John? I mean, to a friendly Christmas, like more candy cane, less sweat lord tournament. You're going on the naughty list, John. You know, but hey, he won and he does deserve credit for that. What I'm actually much more interested in is Tom Robinson with Tempestus Aquilons, a team that everybody has discarded as being like poor, came second. Really amazing, right? And the third undefeated player, Angels of Death, again, not a team that people think is of the as being the bleeding edge of the meta. So no, not to take away from John's achievement, because he came first. He came first in a 60-person tournament, which I think is always a big deal. And I don't want to sound like I'm belittling him or cheapening what he managed to do, but the meta is what the meta is. Now, I know, because I watch all of John's content, that his big belief is that, like, he points out the teams that are broken, but then he takes those teams because he very much doesn't believe in self-censorship. He thinks that when, like, he often harks back to when people everybody refused to play Pathfinders because they are broken. He's like, no, you have to play the broken teams because Games Workshop need the data to see which teams are broken, so they fix the game. And I understand that as a point of view. But this was a kind of event where you look at the spread, there's only 4 Legionary players in 60 players. So it tells you that, like, for very many people, they weren't playing the bleeding edge of the meta. So, like, yes, I will salute you, John, but at the same time, Legionaries, man, like, they're busted, and as you've said yourself on your own video. So it's like, more impressive for me is to see Tom Robinson there with Aquilons on second place. That's really cool. Angels of Death third place. That's really cool. Guy Barton, yes, the Barton father and son, the world champion, and his dad were there, and Dad came fourth, and Dan's down on 9th place with Warp Coven. I believe that loss, like, I haven't gone through and checked, I believe that Dan and John met up again, right? And I got to, I mean, in fairness, all the stick I've just given John for bringing Leader is worth saying that Dan also brought Warp Coven, like he also brought his top meta pick with which he won Worlds. And their fortunes were reversed. I'm really looking forward to. They both have YouTube channels now, John and Dan. So I'm really looking forward to the battle reports from both of them to see what happened in that game that made it a reversal of what happened when they met at Worlds. No, I mean, a very different environment, not less because of the time thing, right? You know, at Worlds they had 3 hours, and at Not Kill Team they had an hour 45. That's a very different environment. And it could have been that it was on Beta Decima. For all I know, I don't know. So, really interesting stuff. But what else have we got? We got some, Wormblade, WoW, Corsair, Void Scarred, Angels of Death again. Hyrotech are generally regarded as powerful, but, they're cool. Void Dancer Troop, we got down with his Warp Coven. Void Dancers, a lot of Void Dancers. We got Plague Marines on 12th. Second Legionaries managed to get 13th, right? Mandrakes, Void Dancers really popular. Ryan was running Void Dancers. I think people are wanting to roll out Void Dancers now. It seems to be the latest thing that people were testing out, right? But yeah, Ryan lost his final game. A low score as well, ace. Again, I hope that Ryan, Turning Point Tactics on YouTube, does a tournament report. We love to understand how these top, because like I do mine, but nobody, like I'm 42nd. The people that are watching this for the vibes. They're not watching it because they want a deep critical tactical insight, right? But when these people who are really good at the game have YouTube channels and they do their tournament reports, it's really interesting, I think, to find like why did they take losers where they did. I mean, it's really interesting. Angels of Death, Corsairs, Warp Coven, Angels of Death, Star Striders at 21st, like that's really good. Hearthkin, Tempestus Aquilons again, Hand of the Archon, John Solly with his Novitiates again. I mean, they're beautifully painted, so who could blame him for giving them another run out?
Good on him. He didn't put them in the painting competition, which I think is he always wins. So it was interesting because it made the painting competition wider open. I still didn't win, but um, yeah, that was a very good sport of him, right? Luke with Hearthkin Salvages, like 26th. Hyrotech, Tempestus, Hand of the Archon, Corsair Voidsguard, Hand of the Icon, Corsair Voidsguard, Novitiates, the other Broom Brothers player, right? Novies, Felgor, Scouts, two Bens, both brought Scouts, right? So Ben Hodgson, my friend, Oro on the Discord, 2 wins, 2 losses with Scouts. And then another Ben, also with Scouts, also with 2 wins, 2 losses. Interesting. People called Ben that run Scouts apparently is a thing. Leo with Farstalkers. Phil with Legionaries, like 40th place with Legionaries, Phil. I don't want to say it, right, but we're all thinking it. Matthew Wilson, Void Dancers, right? And then there's me, 42, great number, right, with my Brood Brothers. I'm really happy to get a win. I was aiming for a win, so to get a win and a draw is technically better than to get a win, right? Hyrotech, Hearthkin, Hand of the Archon, leads me down to 46th here. You see, it's not an auto win, so fair enough. Kazakin, Corsairs, Hyrotech, Commandos, nice. Angels of Death, Commandos, Tempestus, Hearthkin, Farstalkers, Starstriders, Wormblade, Farstalkers. So I think a great mix of teams. A lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people not playing, I think, those bleeding edge meta teams on purpose because, it's the Christmas event. It's not, there's no golden ticket, right? It's not really a competitive, it's an excuse to play some games and have some fun and chuck some dice. So, happy with my performance. And I think that the stats are interesting, but it does have to be viewed through that lens where I would say at least half the people were deliberately taking subpar teams. And it's worth saying as well, a couple of names missing from the list. Matt Godlington and Chris Scott Blaw, two of the best players, I think, in the Nottingham crowd. But they're both TOing. So they both went to Atlanta, the World of Warhammer. Matt actually said to me, like, I've played enough Warhammer for this year. I think they're both probably pretty burnt out on the concept of playing Kill Team for a little bit after that, like, however many games they played in Atlanta. So, a shame, I think, not to have them playing, but it was nice to catch up with them anyway, and I have them helping Jason organise it, so he wasn't just like this one man. Usually he's like this one man band as well, so I was really good. Great fun, and a great event all round, really. So my personal reflection, like I won a game of Kill Teams. I can now say I have won a game of Kill Teams. So that's good. This really hammered home to me the value of playing games of Kill Teams to get better at Kill Team. Like do the thing. I think there are games where I would have given much better accounting to myself if I'd played that mission before or I'd played on that kill zone before. But the thing is, there are now a lot of combinations of missions and maps and kill zones. And I'm not saying that repeating games and practicing is the decisive factor. Like, Zimbad's really good at Kill Team, and he doesn't play more than I do. He just is some kind of Kill Team savant that can just do things without having practice with them. But I think for the rest of us mere mortals, it is important to play lots of games, right? And so, therefore, I continue to think that attending tournaments is the best way to improve at the game because, yeah, I can play like one game a week at home most weeks. But if I go to a tournament and play 3 games, 4 games, 6 games, whatever it is, that's like a mega dose of getting better at Kill Team. So a mega dose of playing different people with different play styles, with different teams, on different maps, with different missions. So all those different little combinations you're playing and playing and playing. So I'm keen to go to more tournaments. I it's great fun. It continues to be great fun. I had a great time. Absolutely. Final thoughts. So were you at the event? Do share your thoughts down below, especially if you're one of my opponents and I've maligned you. There was only once when I've done one of these videos and I said some stuff and one of my guys was like, oh, I was this opponent, and actually, like, and I'm like, okay. So please do have your reply in the comments. That's absolutely fine. Next event is Kill that I'm booked in for is the Kill Team Critical Strike 4 on the 11th and 12th of January at Warhammer World. So it's 2-day event at Warhammer World, 11th and 12th of January. It's currently sold out, right? It's 6 games, 3 on each day, so it'll be a lot more of a gentle, like, with breaks and lunchtime and stuff like that, which is nice. It is expensive, 70 quid for the 2 tickets for the 2 days, right? It's Games Workshop. What are you going to do? It'll be really good. Now, I'm aware that there is, annoyingly, an events clash. Ryan, Turning Point Tactics, is running events on the same Saturday as Warhammer World. And a few people, I sort of overheard a few people saying, like, oh, I'm probably going to not go to Warhammer World or, like, refund my Warhammer World ticket and I'll go to the Not Kill Team one as well, which is only a 1-day. I'm sticking with Warhammer World because I have booked 2 hotel rooms, and so if I swapped and did the 1-day, like I'm sure the Knots one, or the I don't know if it's Knots Kill Team branded or TPT branded, but they're almost the same group of people. I'm not sure if that will probably be a better event. But having paid for 2 hotel room nights, I want to get my 2 days of Kill Team, and the Warhammer World event will also be very good. So there's just that thing to think about there, which does mean if you want to come to Warhammer World, like it's likely that as people like go and join the waitlist is what I'm saying. It's likely as people refund their tickets. Eventbrite's got a really generous refund policy that you can refund up to the week before. So as people refund their tickets, you might snag one at the last minute, which is a good thing. Subscribe, comment, like, etc. Please consider joining the Discord, please. Big Discord hobby challenge roundup videos coming tomorrow, so look forward to that. I want to say a big thank you to all my channel members. I hope you're all having a lovely, like, last couple of weeks now until Christmas. Almost there, almost there, almost there. You know it's Christmas when it's the Not Kill Team Christmas bash, right? But particularly want to thank Compendium Lover, who is subscribed at the highest possible tier of YouTube membership, and therefore does give a significant portion of money every single month to whatever this is. And so thank you for that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again next time. Cheery, 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 bye. Bye-bye. Bye.